Let me tell you something about Resident Evil, both of you, okay? Run
No,
from
I'm
anything.
well aware. You don't fight everything.
You don't fight anything.
Welcome to New Game Plus. This is a retro gaming podcast where three guys spend 7 days playing one old game and then we talk about it. My name's Dustin.
My name is Kenny.
Trees up, Nolan.
And this is episode 504, and it is a director's episode! But before we bring on our relevant friend, I've got a question of the week for you, and it is, what are you playing right now?
God, I love that tune.
So good.
That was in my
also
Spotify
like it.
Wrapped.
You're a top 1% listener, a fan of?
Yep.
I'll start since both of you are silent. Since we played this last, I've played and cleared Hades 2 and Dispatch. I'm proud to say both of those were great games.
You're a
Great,
machine.
great. Yeah,
Well-
he really does finish games quick. For real.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know
we
what you're
take
about.
Longer than normal people, but you're faster than normal
Yeah.
people.
I mean, I will full clear Hades 2 like you did at some point, but it will be a year and a half from now.
Well, that's crazy, though. That's a you problem.
We need, by the way, a secret episode on Hades 2, boys.
All three of us, for
Ooh.
sure.
Are we allowed
There's
to
a lot
talk
to
about
say.
it like this if
No,
it's going to
it's
be
a
a secret
secret.
episode? So, shh.
The games that I'm playing right now are Resident Evil 2 Remake for reasonable reasons. And I am also playing Citizen Sleeper 2.
Oh.
Do either of you know what that is?
Yeah, I do. You
No.
didn't like the first one, I thought. You did like it.
I loved the first
Oh,
one.
interesting.
you thought.
Okay. Are you liking
Yeah,
the
first
second
one
one
was
so
great.
far?
Second one's good. It hasn't grabbed me yet like the first, but I mean, it's still really good. But how could I dedicate time to that when I'm playing this third game called Ball X?
The best game
This-
I've ever played in my life.
It's not
Um,
the best game ever.
This is the reason you asked this question.
Okay, and also it's Kenny's answer and my answer. Well, actually, it might not be Kenny. It's not Kenny's answer.
Might
not
not be
mine.
yet. Do you want to know what's funny though? Actually, I planned this question before I downloaded and started this.
That
game
is
this
funny
week, so
because as of like yesterday, this is now our new obsession. So
yeah,
it's new. I mean, it's just indie roguelike slop, which is my favorite, and it's
It is.
just great. And it's super slop because it's literally just. I mean, it's the lowest form of dopamine rush of just balls going across the screen. Like it's really for children. Like
is it lower tier or higher tier than Vampire Survivors?
I feel like
In terms
that's
of what?
lower.
Slop, like when we're talking about this kind of thing.
It's
I
this.
mean,
They're one and the same. I mean, Ball Pit was probably heavily inspired by
sure.
Vampire Survivors.
But I feel like Ball
Yeah.
might require a little bit more skill since you're banking and bouncing.
Maybe,
I agree
but
with that.
like,
I think you just walk around in Vampire Survivors at the end of the day. Like
You
There's
do.
no
You don't attack anything.
strat
There's
outside
some
of your build.
there's absolutely some strategy, but it's most.
What a good experience. I told Nolan, Kenny, that it's probably going to be the exact same experience for me, that like I'll probably spend way too much time and go really hard on this for a couple of weeks,
Sure.
but then I'll
Never
get
touch
really
And
it
that's
again.
fine. That's what
Yeah.
it's for.
Yeah, then I'll,
You know?
Yeah, no, which is great.
Yeah.
Which is great. And it's a reasonably priced game as well, so.
Yeah, I'm loving it. That's what I'm playing right now. Oh, also, since talking to you, Dustin, about what games I would want you to play, the latest Cyberpunk 2077 patch 2.3 came out a few months ago at this point, maybe a couple months ago, and I started another playthrough.
Nolan.
Oh, it's like Skyrim. You just kind of do it.
He's a revisitor, he'll play it again a few times over and over.
Yeah, but the difference is I actually beat this game versus like Skyrim I never beat, but this game I do because the DLC.
Well,
is really
most
good.
games you don't beat, so it is remarkable and makes me think that I
Cyberpunk's
really do need
awesome.
to play it at some point.
I can't wait for you to play it. I think you'll like it. It's like GTA meets Fallout or something. I don't know.
Kenny, do you have any answer that's different?
I do. I am continuing to play the Bazaar, which will make you sad, but it works for me and
I like that you
scratches
like
an
it.
itch, and I'm having fun with it. However, the one game that I've been playing a little bit lately that you guys don't know about, though it won't surprise you because it's just a go back to an old comfort game kind of game, is Diablo 2.
Are you playing?
I
are,
love that.
Are you playing
No.
Project Diablo 2?
I'm not. I've just opened
Okay.
up Diablo 2 and pulled out some old characters that are already leveled and geared and just done some like farming, run around, kill some demons. Nothing like exciting. Nothing that you're like, oh, why didn't you tell me so we could do that together, Nolan? None of
I
that.
like that answer. It's better than chess. Thank you. But
Right.
Project Diablo 2 season just dropped. We should play it. It looks great.
I'm also
We're
playing.
playing Ball X Pit right now.
I'm also
are
playing
playing
chess, but I feel like I'm getting worse at that, not better, and it's frustrating. So
It's the age.
Those are the games we're playing right now, but we need to hop into our episode proper because this is, as I said previously, a director's episode. So let's connect with Infinite Knife and pick his brains for a bit. Like in our retro game of the week, Resident Evil 2.
Overview.
First and foremost, we'd like to welcome Infinite Knife. We'll call him Jared for the sake of this episode. It's
Hi,
just
Jared.
a name I made up.
just pulled
Jared,
it out of thin air.
Would you take a moment and introduce yourself to us, to our community? Let us know how you found out about New Game Plus, how long you've been a part of the community, and then why you selected, out of all games you could have chosen, Resident Evil 2 as the retro game of the week.
Yeah, super excited to be on the pod. I'm Jared. I go by Infinite Knife on the Discord, so you guys can see me in there. I do mostly lurking in there, but I pop into conversations every now and then. Listen to the podcast every week. I started with episode 354, which, as you all know off the top of your heads, was Resident Evil 4.
Of course.
Hey,
Um,
sensing a theme.
So I was back in November of 2022, and the reason I found you guys is because I was getting hyped about the Resident Evil 4 remake release, and I was looking for Resident Evil type podcasts on Spotify, and I happened to find you guys, and I've been here for 3 years, and I just finished my 6th retro recap. So, so that,
Crazy.
if that's a measure of how long I've been around, I'm excited that this is the first one that Carlisle, Shauna, and Glenn are going to talk about on the next one, so that's kind of fun. Shout out to those
That is
guys; they do a great job with the recaps.
Yes, they do.
They do.
Were
yeah.
we in your Spotify Wrapped?
Oh.
Yes, you guys were in my Spotify Wrapped.
Yes.
You guys are my number 2 podcast. I have another one that my friend makes. Nolan's leaving.
Nolan, sit
Sorry,
back
buddy.
No, it's like I'm out.
But yeah, you guys were in my Wrap for sure.
Do y'all think we were in
Um,
Sabrina Carpenter's?
I mean, there is a chance.
There's a non-zero chance.
Yeah, it's a very, very, very small chance.
She was in mine. I'll tell you that.
Hey! So I'm glad you stuck around, even though I don't know if you found out yet. We're not a Resident Evil podcast.
I
Oh.
found that out quickly after the first week. And then I actually meant to say I went back. So I've listened to every episode since 354. It's part of my Monday routine. But I did go back through the catalog and looked for some of the like more obscure games that I really enjoyed playing and found out if you guys did them. So like I was really stoked to find out you guys did Guitar Man. That was one of my favorite like obscure PS2 titles.
It's a great
Like
game.
I worked at GameStop when that came out originally, so I played the heck out of the demo that we had
Yeah.
playing in the store. So that was good. And I was thinking about what game to do for my episode, and I was trying to come up with something kind of out there for you guys. But then I just thought I kind of put it in toward the end of spooky season, but I thought that you guys hadn't done very many Resident Evil games, and I don't think you've done any on the PlayStation, like the original one. You guys did RE1 Remake, and you guys did maybe Resident Evil 3, Nemesis, I think you guys did. So maybe you did do a PS1 title.
I don't think we've done 3.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think
Um,
just 1 and 4. I think.
And I also don't think it was
Oh,
the
1
remake
and 4 you
for
did,
1.
yeah.
It was the remake for 1 on GameCube specifically.
Yeah.
I remember.
You're right. It was weird.
Yeah.
And then Resident Evil 4 also on GameCube. This is the first
Yeah.
one that we've done on PlayStation. You're right.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was part of the reason. Also, it's just one of my top 5 favorite games of all time, and I thought there'd be other people in the community that would really like to hear you guys do an episode on it. And I'm very passionate about the Resident Evil series, so I'm like, we're just going with it, guys. Let's do it. So I'm super excited that one, that you guys hadn't done it yet, and I got to pick it, but also that I get to talk to you guys about it.
Well, Resident Evil, for those who don't know, is a horror video game. What do we call this? Survival horror?
Survival horror is the genre.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess you have to survive. In my mind, survival type games are a different kind of game. Regardless, this is a survival horror video game that came out for the PlayStation 1 primarily, came out for a whole bunch of other stuff as well. We played the PlayStation version this week. I mean, Nolan probably played the remake and acted like it was the real thing.
Of course I
because he
did.
does whatever he wants.
Of course I did.
This is developed and published by Capcom and came out in 1998. Resident Evil follows the Resident Evil 2. Sorry, I can't just say Resident Evil. There's so many of them. 2 is the game we played this week. Follows the normal Resident Evil motif of like throwing you into a world full of zombies. We are now after the story of the first game, and we find ourselves in Raccoon City of all places, playing as either Leon S. Kennedy or Claire Redfield. That's an interesting word to throw in there. The or, we'll talk about that a little bit as we get into it. And you are survival adventuring in all of the normal Resident Evil kinds of ways. Limited ammo, trying not to die, fighting big bosses, doing puzzles, saving your game on a typewriter. Pretty typical Resident Evil stuff.
Yeah, I wanted to say also, Kenny, I'm also sorry that you got the first play, but I'm also very thankful that you got the first play because it was pretty entertaining. But I was also laying the screen like, Kenny, just hit the run button. Go and run. You don't have to shoot all the zombies.
It was an
Dustin was
absolute
like,
disaster.
Nolan, you're gonna want
And,
to
like-
skip this one, and so I did.
Yeah,
Oh, you did for your own mental health?
I watched a few minutes and turned it off.
You would,
Yeah,
you
and-
would have continued to rage.
I was also yelling that knifing the zombies is something you only do in an emergency. It's not something you go to while you have a gun.
Directly the first opportunity in the game, I'm like, well, what do I want to do? Let's run up to the enemies and try and stab them with this dangerous little weapon.
Yeah.
It
But
was
that's one
not
of the
my
things-
finest gaming hour.
Yeah, that's one of the things I really like about Resident Evil 2 compared to the first one is that this one, the crap hits the fan like immediately. You start the game and you're in a alley with fire and
Yeah.
there's 5 zombies coming at you and you're like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And I've played it a bunch of times, so I know just run around them. You don't have to shoot anybody. And actually, there's a Nolan might be the only one who knows this. There's a secret where if you get through the first part of the game up to the police station without picking up any items, you can go under the stairs and you see Brad from Resident Evil 1 zombified. And if you kill him, you get a special key that opens a locker that unlocks alternate costumes for Leon and Claire.
I did not know that, actually.
If you're wanting to look spiffy, which we know
Is that in
none
the
of you
remake?
do.
Just curious.
That's not in the remake. Brad comes up in a different spot in the normal course of that game. So there's that secret's not there, but they nod to it though in the B scenario when you start in the back of the RPD and you go down into that little office. There's a poster of Brad up there, kind of like a shout out to that
Nice.
situation.
This is a true prequel to that first game, the one that we played 6 years ago on episode 191. But you are playing as different people. In the first one,
Right.
you're not playing as Brad, are you? I don't know who you're playing as.
In the
Chris
first
Redfield.
one, you're playing as Chris Redfield, Claire's brother, and Jill Valentine.
That's right, because
AKA Best
Claire
Girl.
is here to find her brother.
That's right.
That's
And
her
it's
mission.
funny to me.
And Leon's here for his first day on the job.
Yeah, Leon. Yeah.
Poor guy.
It's actually really funny. It's jarring actually to see OG Leon after we have had remake Leon,
I
which
bet.
they have perfected that character. I think they've done such a good job with the remake. So it's funny to go back to see him in his former glory. And it's also funny to me. I had forgotten this is on like N64. It's on everything. It's on like Dreamcast, PC.
It got released on pretty much any system you can think of.
That's crazy.
We now have a bonus episode exclusive for those on Patreon.
Episode is not an over exaggeration. It's a full episode.
And it's an episode that you get to be a part of.
Yeah, it's called Expansion Pack, and semi-regularly you get to be a part of the conversation, and we're going to debate, and we're going to scream at each
We're
other.
gonna talk about
Have
video
arguments.
games. Yeah, we're gonna scream mostly though. That's kind of the point of it.
Yeah, it'll be like goats.
You roast us, we roast you. Find out more information at patreon.com/NGP podcast.
Gameplay.
Resident Evil games are often known for their settings. And not a hub world, but it kind of feels like one. Let's talk about the first game, since we played that on the podcast. You have the mansion from Resident Evil 1, and that's such an iconic location. It sets the tone for the game, and it is a very central thing because you are exploring all over it. There's so many secrets to find. You're backtracking, but it doesn't feel like backtracking. Anyways, and in 4, that's kind of a different example. We were in a village, then we were in a castle, and then you're in a bunch of other areas. But in 2,
But the castle is iconic.
the castle's
and
of
the
course
village,
iconic.
some
And there's a
iconic
lot
places,
yeah, and there's a lot in 4 that is very experimental for other reasons. But in 2, you have one of my favorite in the series areas, and that is the Raccoon City police station. As Dustin said, it's Leon's first day on the job. They had, in fact, there's a room, one of the like offices. They've got like a banner. It says like "Welcome Leon," because they were going to celebrate his first day. And it's not your normal police station. It's going to feel familiar if you have played the first one because there's sprawling hallways, there's multiple levels. You go outside of the station for things, and you're finding all kinds of things. And so that's where this is taking place, is in the police station.
Mostly, yeah, and like the area underneath the police station. And there's probably a good time to bring this up. So this game actually on PS1 had 2 releases. So there was the first one released in January of 1998, but that year Sony released the first DualShock controller with the analog sticks and the rumble feature. So in August of '98, they released a DualShock version of the game. And to give you a little bit of Infinite Knife lore, which you guys did not expect, so you're welcome. This DualShock version has an infinite ammo code.
Oh.
So if you go into the settings before the game, into the controller settings, you hold down a button and then press another one a bunch of times, and it turns on infinite ammo. So all the guns have infinite ammo. But what my friends and I always thought was hilarious was that even the knife in your inventory has that infinite symbol on it. So we said, I got the infinite knife just as a joke. And when I came up with my online handle for this stuff, I thought that would be a clever one to use. So
the
that's where it came
origin
from.
story. That's so
I didn't
great.
even. Yeah, that's great. But
Love
also,
it.
don't ruin
Let
your
me ask you-
playthrough with infinite ammo.
No, play
Let me
through it
ask you-
first. Put it legit first, and then go have fun with the infinite ammo later.
Let me ask you, the knife is used for 2 things, and I know this is somewhat sidetracked, but the knife is used for when you are attacked, and you use it defensively and you stab. I think you can also use it to
Not
attack,
in this
which Kenny
one.
did in his first play, and it's not a bad thing to do. Okay. What? When you're attacked, can't you use the knife
In Remake, you
can.
can.
In Remake,
Oh.
you can.
That was an
So,
addition.
well,
Yeah.
then let me explain. I've been playing both this week. My wife and I have been playing Resident Evil 2 Remake at night, and then I on my own have been playing through the original Resident Evil 2 because she doesn't want to look at that.
Yeah, the
So-
remake
Okay,
brought
rude.
back the remake brought back the defense items, like you could use the knife
Got
or
you.
either of the 2 grenades
Flash-
if you had them
flash
in your
grenade, yeah.
inventory. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Man, so I get some of the 2 confused. Okay, so that makes sense then, because there was also an infinite knife with the infinity symbol in the remake, but I stabbed it into an enemy, and it was one of the like boss enemies that run away and come back later. So my infinite knife is gone for now until the guy comes back.
Oh,
You
geez.
shouldn't have done that.
Well, I had to get him off of me.
In the original, the knife. Don't use a knife. Let me tell you something about Resident Evil, both of you, okay? Run
No,
from
I'm
enemies.
we
well
go.
aware. You don't fight everything.
You don't fight anything.
You run.
Okay, good. So you know, Kenny, don't fight anything.
I mean, that's actual zombie apocalypse accurate.
Sure, sure.
Conserve your ammo.
Yes.
Survive only. Yeah.
Wait, you don't walk up to them and give them a hug? That's what you did.
I mean, you can't listen. You know, there's flavors. There's I'm gonna grab a crossbow and go hunt every zombie I can ever find. Flavor, and that's not how you would want to do it in real life. You're welcome.
No, you'd be a zombie snack very quickly, and all of us would be in a zombie apocalypse. Let's be
Oh yeah,
real.
I'm not
Like,
making it. No.
yeah, we're not making it for sure. We might last a little
Whoa.
while, but one of the other things I want to touch on with gameplay for you guys was I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I always thought it was really cool that they started this in this game, I believe. When you shoot a gun, you can see the shell casing pop out and you can hear it clang on the ground
Yes.
when you do it. And if it's there's not a lot of sound going on, that's like the only thing you hear. I always thought that was a really neat addition. I think they did that with Resident Evil 3 as well. I don't think it was in the original, but it was
Yeah.
something I always think of when I'm like, yeah, they didn't have to do that. Capcom didn't have to do that, but they decided to throw it in. I appreciated it.
Yeah. One thing Capcom did decide to leave in from the original is tank controls. We all love tank controls here. All four of us actually. Um, Dustin,
What are you saying?
obviously the remake doesn't have them. Well, actually, it might. You might be able to turn it on. I'm not sure.
It doesn't. Well, oh.
No, I don't
maybe,
think so.
But it's
But-
not preset.
Yeah.
This does have the tank controls from the PlayStation era, which, if you don't know what that means, it's borrowed from some game where you control a tank. I
Up
don't
is always forward.
know. Up, yeah.
Yeah,
Up
it's
is always
just like
forward.
the
So like,
standard thing they did in a lot of games at this
Yeah.
point.
well, also pre DualShock, like Jared was saying, when this would have been developed originally. Left and right, you're like pivoting, and then forward, you're gonna go the direction you're facing. So it takes a lot of getting used to, and
Yeah.
coming from someone who actually has a fondness for this control scheme, it always takes me a minute to get back into it. And so, especially, I mean, that's why I'm saying don't fight, because when it comes to combat, it's hard. It adds a difficulty layer to the game that isn't in the remake.
Yeah, that's part of the survival horror element of it, is surviving the horrors of tank controls.
Nice.
But here's the thing: I'll make a case for it. You've got to do that for this game in particular, because it's these pre-rendered environments that your character is running through, and they're trying to do it in a cinematic way, and so unfortunately they do it sometimes every 3 steps of your character. Well, if you're running, for Kenny it might be 5 or 6 steps, but if you're running, every 3 steps will change camera angle, change camera angle, change camera angle. And if you had to every time reorient
It's true.
the direction, you wouldn't be able to do that. Now,
Yeah.
if you're not doing those rapid camera changes, you could still get away with regular controls you do in Final Fantasy VII with pre-rendered backgrounds, and it works great. You don't have to do tank controls. But in a game like this, where they're trying to go very cinematic and they're doing these rapid cuts, it only makes sense. But it does take some getting used to, and it does add a layer of challenge for sure.
Yeah, it's
It
still a
does,
little
but they-
foreign.
Yeah.
Oh,
They made it when they made it though, like they designed where the enemies were located for the most part, where if you got good at being able to maneuver, especially when you were running, like you could avoid a lot of the enemies that were in front of you. Now there are some spots where you're required to fight the enemies in front of you, but one of the things that makes me love survival horror games so much is that they really focus, the good ones really focus on not only having the scary element of being in a zombie apocalypse, but also resource management is huge because you're not getting tons and tons of ammo. So you have to be careful and you have to say, okay, I only have this one 18 rounds in my gun, so I got to be careful about which zombies I decide I want to take out. And you can tell when you've taken a zombie down because the little pool of blood shows up when they fall down, so you know you don't have to shoot them anymore. That is one place though where the knife comes in handy, is when you shoot a zombie and knock them down but don't kill them, you can switch to the knife and get a few jabs in and save some ammo. So that's really where the knife comes in really handy.
But
This
man,
becomes
these
an
zombies are tanks.
Yeah, and this becomes
Like-
really important when you start thinking about how limited your ammo is, including some of your like big gun special ammo kinds of things. There are certain bosses that I wouldn't want to fight without like the type of ammo that really helps you kill that boss. And if you don't know that, or if you're not conserving, or if you're getting all your, big special guns and just blowing everybody up, you can almost virtually soft lock yourself into not being able to progress, at least if you're not good at the game, because there's so much need to conserve. And again, that's part of the experience. They're going for that. I think that the developers would be like, well, great, lesson learned, to now like do it right. But that type of moment is something you may run into in a game like this, and it can be a little bit frustrating if you do.
It's what those magical typewriters are for.
Which is
That's
also
right.
Yeah, if you've got enough ink for him, that's one of the things they changed in the remake. You don't need the ink anymore. You can just save at a typewriter, which is a godsend.
I think in
To
hard
have-
mode you have to use the ink ribbons.
That probably makes sense. But they're just, the developers are hateful because
No.
to give you limited inventory, limited ammo, and make you have to use a resource to save, that's just punishing.
That
It is, but that's kind of the whole point.
That's the whole point. It's meant to feel like the stakes are high, and it does. Like, shooting is simple, like, but the headshots aren't guaranteed. So, like, even firing your gun feels risky, which I think is a feat that they were able to pull off in an old school game like this, where things feel like stakes are high, and that's good. It's a survival horror game. That's what it's supposed to feel like. And honestly, the remakes are fantastic. I can't say anything bad about them, honestly, and it's mostly quality of life things. But I think that we've lost our way, and this was just this was it.
This is
was
what
the
games are
feeling
supposed
you
to
wanted
be.
to have. Yeah.
They should certainly make you feel things. That's part of the point of a game. So I'm not arguing, Nolan.
Do y'all played Leon or Claire?
Well, hold on. We've got to even explain that.
Yeah.
For people that don't know, that's just a totally foreign kind of concept here. This game actually on the PlayStation came with 2 different discs, which I love, and it's not discs. It's not like disc 1 and then disc 2. They're both disc 1, and they're both disc 2. And what that means is that you've got I think they've got a name for the system, but you've got an A/B game system where you can either put in the disc and play as Leon S. Kennedy, or you can put in Claire's disc, and she's on the front of her disc, and play as her. Whichever character you play, that is the A part of the story. And then once you're done completing that character's story, the game prompts you to put in the other disc, and you begin the other characters B part of that story. So there's replayability there, but it's also a different experience. The A's and B's. You're entering the building at different places. You have different scenarios that happen in different orders. The characters themselves play differently. Like they each have, one has more ammo, one has more maybe inventory space. I don't know, but I think Leon starts with a shotgun and Claire starts with a bow gun.
Yeah,
You're shaking your head no. Is that wrong?
No, they both start with a handgun, but they have access
sure.
to different guns. Like Leon is the only one who picks up the shotgun. Claire's the only one who picks up the bow gun during the game. And there's actually a couple of spots where when you're playing through the A scenario, there's areas you can go into. There's one where there's a locker with an expansion for your inventory and a machine gun. And if you leave it there for Leon, it'll be there when Claire comes back in the second scenario. And then there's a spot later in the game where there's a room in the lab where you log your fingerprint with Leon, and then when Claire comes through, you log your other fingerprint, and you can access that room, but only in the B scenario. So that was kind of a cool thing that they made it so you can do that, during your both playthroughs if you chose to go this way. Like you can hoard that stuff in the locker for Leon, or you can be like, well, I'm going to need it when I'm with Claire, so I'm going to hold off until I play with her.
That's so smart. And this is smart not only because it gives you both characters, but like Dustin said, it gives you a ton of replayability. But it does give you those preferences of like play style because they are slightly different if you have a preference. And two, just like all of these games to some degree, I mean, all video games ever, people kind of play self-insert a little bit. So I just love that you've got gender options of like both flavors if you're into that, like, hey, I want to play the girl, hey, I want to play the guy. Like, that's fine.
Resident Evil's actually been really good with that throughout the series. In the first one, you could play as Chris or Jill.
Yep.
This one is Leon and Claire. Resident Evil 5, you can play as Chris or Sheva. And some of the female characters that show up in Resident Evil are total badasses. So Capcom's really been consistently good with that.
And the scenario thing is what is really ambitious with this game. I feel like that's kind of a risky thing to bet on, but I actually didn't know about some of those things that you can alter depending on which one you chose. So I played Leon scenario A, and that's it. But the fact like that's just crazy to me. And I also didn't realize that it was like I never owned it physically, so I didn't know that there was the 2-disc system.
It's physically,
Yeah.
you choose which disc to start
That's-
with, which is great.
That's risky. I feel like, but it works great here. I think it's and like the replayability inherently that comes with that is awesome.
I believe that the canon version of events is Claire A, Leon B. That's what I've at least read this week.
I think that's right.
It's fair.
So that's obviously what I did for story purposes and played Claire. I actually started Leon A. Found out that
Yeah.
you know, the right thing, the
And went
right
back
thing
and did
is
it the other
Claire
way.
A. Went
Yep,
back and did both. So just so you know, Jared, I played fully through Claire A, fully through Leon B, and completed this game this week so that I would be able to rightfully give my vote or withhold my vote for New Game Plus status.
I'm proud of you.
So
That's
you-
sick.
Perfect.
So you got the infinite rocket launcher after you beat the game. I don't think there's any unlock requirements for that. I think it's just if you beat it, you get it. Which is
Just
fun to
run
go
through
back
the
to
whole
go. It's so
Oh,
much
it's a
fun.
Resident Evil trope.
Just blow
Yeah.
everybody up. Yeah.
Yeah.
You had
It's
to
so much
why
conserve
not?
before. Yeah. So now just
Yeah.
turn loose. That's great.
Yeah,
That's
if
just
you're into,
fun.
if you're into any percent speed running, that's the way to go.
Yeah. I love that back in the day, like this is the era of like cheat codes, right? And just including things in these games that were just fun. Cause you know, it doesn't make sense. No, it's not balanced, but yeah, you want to do it. Like we want
What-
an infinite rocket launcher.
One other thing I wanted to touch on about the DualShock version as opposed to the original version, the DualShock version added in Extreme Battle Mode, which was the first basically mercenaries mode for Resident Evil. They didn't have it in the first one, but you could start by playing either as Leon or Claire, and then if you beat that, you could unlock Ada, and then if you beat that, you could unlock Chris Redfield, which that's the only time he shows up in the game actually. And they all start with different weapon loadouts. Their enemy layout is all the same, but they start with different stuff and they have different amounts of strength or HP, and it's a different playthrough, so that adds to the replayability. And then there's the fourth survivor mode, which if you guys didn't play, you probably heard about. You play as Hunk, and then that giant blob of tofu, which I will say were much better in the remake, both of those modes.
I've seen
I
the
like
remake.
the play of those better.
Yeah. Is that DLC for the remake, or is that just in the base game that you unlock? It's like a mode.
I think it's either free DLC or it was just included with it. No, that was included. The DLC were like those extra scenarios you could do with like the non-Leon or Claire characters.
It's worth noting for those of you who haven't played the game that you're not just running around trying to stay alive and collecting every single piece of ammo you can, because you're going to need to conserve it, and also dying a lot because it's a somewhat challenging game in places. We should talk about the bosses at some point. But one of the things you're also doing throughout this is puzzling. Not what you are doing is puzzling. You're solving some relatively simple but puzzles throughout, and I enjoy that. I enjoy that aspect of the game, that it's not completely just like do a thing. You've got some stuff you've got to kind of figure out, which is nice.
You say relatively simple, but going back to the original one, some of them are quite confusing. Like,
Well, and also, I don't know if you guys thought this during your playthroughs, but I thought, man, those people who work in the RPD building must have a really hard time getting around, because to get into this one door, you have to put this metal in the statue and the key falls out. And like someone has to do that every time they want to go through that door. Like that doesn't seem very
they were
efficient
going to
for-
tell
They
Leon
had-
that on his first day, but, you know, the outbreak happened.
Yeah, they had
so-
bigger problems than that. They were going to tell him all about those things and where to go to the bathroom as well. They were going to like inform him. You know, you got to walk over to the next building over.
Yeah,
Every
the
house-
architecture
every
was
house-
questionable.
Every house has that, that sink faucet that you have to put at the right angle to make it not leak, and you've got the door that. It's just got
Absolutely.
a few more, and just a few
Normal
more.
life kind of scenarios there.
But in general, for the puzzles, yeah, it's like, again, if you've played the first one, remake or original, it doesn't matter. They're very faithful with their remake. It'll feel familiar. It's the Resident Evil formula of, this key has a shape to it, and you need to find the door that matches it. Or you need to push this statue in such a way because the floor is dirty, but where the statue was is not dirty. So like stuff like that. I guess what I was meaning when I said that some of them are confusing is it might come down to graphical issues. Just being able to tell what things are at times. And I don't remember this game like I thought I did. I know 4 quite well, but 2, I've only played through like 3 times, and it's been a while, so
Oh,
I don't know.
only.
I always
I
also
will
thought
say,
it was interesting that the first 3 Resident Evil games did this. When you use a key and there aren't any other doors that require that key,
super
they just
nice.
happen to know in the top of their head, like, oh yeah, I don't need this anymore. Do you want to discard it? And like, okay, I guess I'll discard it.
I mean, it's
This
nice for
thing that
limited
takes up,
inventory space. I love that they
yeah,
added
it
that
is.
in
And
there.
no, I appreciate it for that, but it also is kind of silly that a key takes up the same amount of inventory space as a grenade launcher. So
Yeah.
Hey, you don't ask questions.
you just go with it.
Leon has
Is
big
a
fighting
really really
zombies.
small grenade launcher or a really big key? Both.
It's, yeah.
Aged.
We don't always take time to talk about the development process of games. Sometimes we do, but the story of this game's development is kind of interesting. I thought we should mention it here. They started this game, got a good portion of the way through it, playable, an example version of the game, and the team working on it decided this isn't good enough, scrapped the entire thing, and started from scratch.
Is that why they did that? Because it wasn't good enough? Wow.
It wasn't the game that they wanted it to be.
I'm glad they did that.
Well, how do you know the original? Could've
Well,
been
I
better.
trust
Who
I
knows?
trust Capcom to have made that call appropriately, or the
Same.
game director, whoever said that. But yeah, it wasn't even the same characters, was it? It was like some people we don't know.
There was
Like the
an
main
early
character.
version of Resident Evil 2 that had a character named Elza Walker who was in like this biker suit. That was like Resident Evil 1.5, I think they called it. It never came out. I there's video of it out there. I don't know if there was ever a playable version of it though.
Yeah,
But
I
they
think they had
called
some
back to
like
that.
demos or whatever. That's what I'm
Yeah,
talking about. That was the game that they had sort of in development, and that's how people refer to it now. But um,
yeah. They called back to that character in the remake where that was one of Claire's alternate costumes
That's
Oh,
was
awesome.
Elsa
nice.
Walker's.
oh, fun!
Yeah.
That's a
I
fun
wish I
shout
would
out.
have known that when I played it.
Resident Evil series in general is, in my opinion, is going for this really like B movie horror kind of experience, and I think in a lot of ways they do well with that. And one of the ways it's kind of indicative of B movie horror, but I think in a bad way. The voice acting I think is awful in
You
this
don't
video
like
game.
old Leon?
Almost every voice line is just abysmal, in my opinion. There's probably not tons of them comparatively speaking. You know, you're going through a mansion and there's not many living people to be able to talk to, but the voice lines that are there are far from stellar.
Better
Is
than
your
the first
issue
one, though.
more? Yeah, is your issue more delivery or more dialogue? Was
I'm not-
writing the
not-
problem
not
or
the-
acting the problem?
Not the writing necessarily, because in these kind of pulpy B movie stuff, you've got bad writing, and so I'm fine
Fair.
with that. The delivery we would all do better. I would do a better
No.
Sherry than Sherry did in this game. You don't even know who Sherry is.
Okay, hater.
I don't know if I noticed it being overtly
Dude,
bad.
what are you talking about?
I don't know.
It is so bad.
If you listen to the dialogue in the first Resident Evil and then this one's gonna sound like Shakespeare. So
That's why they came a long
That's
way.
not good.
they came a very long way. But I actually really enjoyed the voice acting on this. Paul Haddad was the voice of Leon. He passed away a few years ago, R.I.P. And Alison Court was the voice of Claire. And if that name isn't familiar, you've probably heard her voice or seen her before. She's been a voice actor in a bunch of other stuff like cartoons. If you ever saw the show The Big Comfy Couch, she was the main character in that. So
Oh,
she was
for real?
on
The
screen.
the
Yeah,
clock
same person.
girl?
Uh-huh. The clock stretch. Yeah, she was the
Yeah.
same person, Alison Court.
Oh wow.
And she was Claire for every game up until the remake. And the reason they didn't take her for the remake is because by that time, Capcom stopped hiring union voice actors, and she's in a voice acting union. So
Huh.
Capcom went the cheap way, but the actors were fine in the remake. But I have a soft spot for the originals in that I really enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, if I went and listened to it deliberately after you said that, I'd probably agree with you. But so then I'll just agree with you, Dustin. But they're good in
I'll
remake though.
I'll just keep piling on the hate then. I think
What?
the
No.
graphics are a mixed bag. So
Yeah.
I love the pre-rendered backgrounds and unique camera angles. I'm a sucker for those kinds of things. I think they're able to always show the best, parts that they want to show, the things that they created specifically for your eyes. In games today, you can find all sorts of broken and jagged and ugly things, but in this one, they're directly showing you what they want to show you. But I thought that the character models were where it was poorly done, especially the faces. This is the era where you're getting a lot of that sharp edges and a lot of the just wonky mapping of faces and things, and you get all of that here. And the character models pretty bad. The set pretty good for the time.
Yeah,
I think
for
that's
me, the overall art direction outweighs the faces. Like, yeah, of course, it's got the PlayStation look to the character models. They're trying to go for realism, I mean, as much as you can in a game like this, and doing it effectively. But when you look at it critically on the faces and the detailing, you're like, that's quite bad. But the camera angles, the cine, what am I saying?
Cinematography.
It's very cinematic in how they set up angles and take you through the space, which again was from the first one. They've been doing this. It's their staple at this point, and they do it best. And I mean, even to this day, developers making survival horror in this vein are doing that. So I mean, it's iconic, and some of these early examples of it are still so effective at setting the tone. And so I can forgive some of the graphic stuff. The textures on the walls and floors are, quite bad sometimes, but I don't know, it's just me.
Yeah, and the character models were a little pixely, but when you play other versions, the first one that came out that really smoothed them out was the N64 version, and that
That's
one was just
surprising to me.
pretty. Yeah, it was. And if you look at it, it was like a 120 something meg cart, and they squeezed in the entire game with both scenarios on both sides. Like, for what they were able to do with this game, putting it on the N64 and smoothing out some of the graphics on the character models. Like, if you guys look up, you can see a side-by-side comparison of the character models from each system, and you can see big differences when you jump to the game, the N64 and beyond.
No expansion pack
Interesting.
needed for the N64 version?
I don't remember if it required the expansion pack or not.
How?
I don't think so, Nolan. From the research,
I didn't compute the
did.
two scenarios. Like, that's impressive.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Huh.
Music, I think is where it absolutely shines, but it's not even always music.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
sound design. So
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned earlier, Jared, but the bullets hitting the ground, of course, but also often there's no music. But which is even creepier, because you either hear the moan or you hear someone something scratching, or it's just the footsteps of your
Echoing
character.
footsteps,
Yeah, all the sound design, and then when there is music, it's phenomenal. I mean, Resident Evil Save Room music is
it's
the
classic.
music.
This one
Yeah,
specifically.
it's just so good.
This version.
That was one of
Yeah.
the notes I made about the save room music. So I'm glad we touched on it. That's an iconic track. Like, if you've ever played that game and you go in there, like, you feel it does a good job of making you feel like, okay, nothing's going to try to kill me in this room, and I have a minute to relax and
Oh yeah.
gather myself before I go on to the next zombie. And then what you mentioned also about some of the rooms without music, you can sometimes hear just the shuffling of a zombie going across the ground. You're like, okay, there's a zombie in here somewhere, but because of the angle, I don't know where he is. And so walking out into the next pre-rendered camera thing is like, okay, am I going to walk with a zombie in my face, or is it going to be down the hall and I have a chance to avoid it or shoot it?
And it's gonna be in your face. Yeah, it's
A
gonna
lot
be
of
in
times,
your
a
face.
lot of times. Yeah.
Almost always, yeah.
Something else I think holds up really well here is the story beats, because we haven't talked about the story much. We set it up, and there's not a ton to pick apart there, but you have different moments throughout the story where you interact with some of these other characters that you come across, and you start to unveil some of the just bigger schemes of Umbrella and the players involved in that and how this happened. And I think those moments are great. I mean, it even starts strong. I wanted to talk about the intro early, but we didn't. when Claire and Leon first interact at the gas station. It's just great. I mean, yeah, the voice is whatever, but when he's like duck, and then she ducks, and there's a zombie behind her. It's great.
Classic,
It's amazing, and that happens throughout the story, throughout the game, and I think I was still engaged even though I knew it was going to happen. I think it does feel like a movie at times, and I think they pulled that off.
It does,
Did
and
any
they
of you
did that
guys
with
any?
they like
Sorry.
no, you're fine. They did that with other ways too, besides just the camera angles. Like the pre-rendered backgrounds and specific camera angles was part of it, but also the commitment to not having a super busy like UI like plastered on top of your screen so that you're feeling like you're in the moment a lot more is so smart. And
No, it's good.
like there's negatives there, but they were smart about those too. Like, how do you show that your character is hurt if you're not going to have a giant health bar somewhere? Oh, change their walking animation.
My
Make
side
them
hurts.
physically hurt. Make them
I'm
literally
bleeding
start
out.
limping if you're about to die, and slow you down to ramp the pressure up even more. But only do it in a way where you're just seeing it. And so they were so committed to that experiential look that they not only like designed camera angles and the storytelling around it, but even how you interact with the game, your menuing and your inventory and all of that was very thoughtful to communicate the experience that they wanted to communicate, which I appreciate so much.
Yeah, it got a little annoying. I mean, when you first start playing, I have to switch to the shotgun from the handgun, so I have to press this button to go into a menu and go in and select it. And you don't have to manually reload if you have extra ammo, run out of bullets, they'll reload it automatically for you if you go to shoot again. Did any of you guys happen to run into the little visual thing where if you point directly at the screen as if you're pointing your gun at yourself and shoot, it'll make a little broken glass bullet hole in the screen?
Oh wow.
I don't know if that's only in the DualShock version or not, but it was a fun
No, I don't
little
waste
thing
ammo
that
like that, but that's sick.
yeah, I mean, it's just a fun little thing that Capcom added in. The secrets and the secrets and little Easter eggs and stuff are something I always appreciated by Capcom in the Resident Evil series. Like I don't know if you guys knew about the secret film in the STARS office. If you search the main desk 50 times, you find a picture that you can develop in the dark room, which is Rebecca Chambers from the first game, who was also in Resident Evil Zero in like a little skimpy basketball costume. And who searches that desk 50 times? Like you search it once and you're like, okay, it says nothing here. Like, why would I continue to do that?
Kenny,
I don't even know where I found out about that secret, but it's little stuff like that. It just sticks with you, and it's always fun to, every time I play it, I still go back and get that film every time just because I know
It's there.
it's there. And you
Yeah,
have to,
it's part of the experience. Absolutely.
There is a remake, and there is a whole new series of remakes that are being made. I guess they haven't completed it, right? They did Resident Evil 2
They don't
remake
know.
in 2019, 3 in 2020, and 4 in 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been playing the remake this week and will continue. I think in almost every way they do it better, and it's a really good remake. I will say it is a totally different game though, because we did another game recently where, Kenny, I think you and I played the old school version. It was that horror one.
It was
and
the-
Nolan played the newer version.
What was
And-
that word?
And they're similar things that are happening, but there are totally different experiences. This is here. Resident Evil 2 Remake, in my opinion, is an action game. And it's horror. It's an action horror game. Whereas this one's a survival horror game, and there's survival elements to the remake, of course, but there are different things. But the story is being told, I think, much better with better voice acting, better graphics, of course, and even the setup of the building and where they're taking you through and being able to see all the things they couldn't do in 1999.
Yeah.
I think it's super faithful, but it's super different. Both. Try out both, but don't think that if you play the remake, then you've covered the 1999 one. Very
Yeah.
different games.
Totally agree. The remake was a masterpiece. Making it so you could play Resident Evil with the over-the-shoulder controls like they started with in RE4 was incredible. I had so much fun playing that game, and I still load it up every now and then and run through a scenario. It's a blast. And then they make some harder modes, which they kind of get you more into the survival part of it because you have less ammo and the enemies are stronger. And if you want a challenge, you can go and play that. But the normal modes, and there's even an assisted mode, which would have helped Kenny a lot in the first play, where like if your health gets down to the where you're about to die, it'll automatically fill you back up to where you're only in like yellow caution, so you're not right about to die. So if you're playing any of the remakes, Kenny, you can play assisted mode and have a little bit of
Perfect.
health.
Give me those baby gloves for some games.
There are also other games in the Resident Evil series. Resident Evil, of course, in 1996, Village, the most recent one in 2021, and then, guys, Requiem this next year.
Yeah. Yeah. Early
That's crazy.
February.
next year?
February.
Yeah.
It'll be-
It'll
Yeah.
be out before Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yeah.
All
I'm
right.
gonna
Well,
play that.
Everything's going to be out before Grand Theft Auto 6.
If you want a copy of the original Resident Evil 2 for your PlayStation, that's going to run you $35 loose, about $55 complete in box, $255 new. But if for some crazy reason you want it for your N64, it is considerably more expensive. $56 loose, $171 complete in box, and close to $400 if you want it brand.
Whoa. I mean,
Wow.
N64 does that's common on that system if you're collecting.
I feel like
but
the
I wonder if that's
GameCube
the
version is kind of expensive as well.
Ooh, it
Oh my
might be.
gosh.
I didn't even look that one up. I cannot believe that it's been on every
I
console,
can't either.
man.
Like
Yeah.
that's crazy. I wonder if
This-
N64 is the definitive way to play the OG. I'm blown away by that. Usually that's
It
the
can't-
worst
GameCube
version.
off the
can't
top
be.
of my head. GameCube off the top of my head is about $75 loose, $112 complete, and $250 new, which is around what the PlayStation version is.
Yeah, just if
Still
you were
way up there.
guessing.
Final thoughts.
At the end of each and every one of our episodes, we determine whether or not the game gets our vote for New Game Plus status, which is our general thumbs up or thumbs down. Typically, it requires 2/3 of the vote to swing one way or the other. And if you joined us for a director's episode before, you know that we don't typically vote, but Jared has asked us at his own peril to vote on Resident Evil 2.
Hard
and
mode.
so we will do, yeah, he's playing hard mode. Nolan, go ahead. I think it's most clear where you're going to stand. Resident
Okay.
Evil 2, what do you think?
Resident Evil 2 is considered by a lot of people the best in the series. Depending on who you talk to, a lot will say 4. Me, I don't want to say. It's too hard. But playing the original still feels like such a treat. Outside of the graphical dating of it, it's obviously old. It's PS era. It's going to be pixely. But, I mean, I grew up loving those games, so I like it. Outside of that, though, there's not a lot for me to really complain about here. Tank controls are tank controls, and they're going to be frustrating until they're not, or they're going to continue to be frustrating, and, you know, that's what it is. But I think it adds to the survival aspect of this game. Anyways, I love this game. Of course, I give it New Game Plus. I think the remake is one of the best games of all time. I think 4 remake is even maybe better, but it's the same game director. He skipped remake 3 and he came back for 4, and he's a genius. So play the remake. Just play it. It's awesome. That's it.
That's a yes. Kenny?
I mean, I'm not Nolan. This genre is one he loves. It's not one I love. Tank controls slightly bother him. They're a hurdle for me and take some getting used to.
I get it.
This game has a little bit of jank visually, and you're going to be frustrated with some of the difficulty. You're going to be frustrated with some of the menuing and, managing your weapons and all of those things. However, it's a good enough experience to overcome those things. I will agree with Nolan and say if we're giving a sort of blanket recommendation, I would say probably play the remake version of this game, not the original one. I think unless you've already played the original and you would know about it, and you want to go back and get the story and everything else, for most people, that's going to be better. However, widely recognized great game. I'm certainly not going to argue with it because it is really well done. I don't like it as much as Nolan, but this is certainly an NGP level title in my mind. So, world building, storytelling, puzzling, creativity on the characters, that kind of stuff wins me over. But yeah, actually just play the remake.
All right, that's two. Jared, you're already celebrating. You can celebrate some more. I also give my vote for New Game Plus status. It's probably no surprise. I do see some of what Kenny's saying in the sense that, like, I don't think this genre is for everybody.
Yeah.
But this is. But if you want to dip your toes in it, if you want to see what it's like, this is the game to go. But I would say something slightly different. I'll go ahead and say it. I don't know if I fully agree with it. I wouldn't say to do the remake because I think you're going to be playing a very different game. I think that Resident Evil 2, the original, is a challenge and there is a hurdle, and either, I don't think tank controls are insurmountable. Of course, if you grew up on some of them, then it'll be a lot more reasonable than for some. I can't imagine some kid today trying to pick up and play something with tank
out of the
controls.
question. Don't even try.
But Resident Evil 2 is, I'll say it, a masterclass in environmental storytelling. There's a few notes you can read that gives you some background. There's an office that was decorated for your welcoming. It was a sad welcome. You slowly uncover. I will say, this is the one thing that I will say. I think the pacing falls off a little when you get outside of the station. I think the station is so good, but when you start going to some of the underground stuff and then the lab and then the other thing, it picks back up a little bit as you get to the end. But that station is so iconic, and in Resident Evil 4, it's really, really good too.
Yeah.
Sorry, it is. But Resident Evil 2 Remake, it's done really, really well as well. All that being said, it's a great game. Not a perfect game. It's a great game. If you have experience playing it as when you're younger, you probably think it's amazing because any of the flaws that there are, it's probably overshadowed by your connection to that game. So it's great. Everybody should check it out. So that's yes across the board, which Jared finally goes to you.
So I'm glad that we played this game. I agree. Different game experience, but still the same game, just a different way of playing it, basically. And I really appreciate that. Capcom has always been good about. You can tell they really put effort into these games. Like, they care about making a good game, and that's largely across the board with Capcom games, but especially the Resident Evil series. There's just so much stuff I appreciate about the series that if we talked about it, would take another hour and some change probably. So we'll not do that. But I'm very happy that you guys gave it anonymous NGP, and I'm very also. We did, because I think the backlash you guys would have gotten would have rivaled. Oh gosh, what was that one game that, like, it was like a Mario game or something that didn't
Smash
get
Bros?
NGP? Smash Bros. That's right.
Smash Brothers.
So it was going to be another Smash Bros. And I was going to just say I pray for you guys that
Yeah.
These guys
But,
are idiots.
I'm glad you guys all made the right choice and that we got to play this game this week.
We're used to the hate, but thankfully we're not getting it this time because Resident Evil 2 is New Game Plus certified. But what did you think? On our YouTube poll, 71% said yes. Nolan, that might be too low for you.
That's big.
5% said no, go play something else. And 24% have never played it before.
I'm trying to think of who would say that. The 5%.
The
Well, you
Never
just don't
Played
like
is
Resident
more-
Evil, probably.
I think the Never Played is more surprising for me because that was such an
24%?
iconic game.
Yeah, it's
I
true.
feel like
That's
everybody would have loaded it up at some point. Like, I didn't even own a PlayStation when I was a kid, so I played it at a friend's house. And first Sony system I owned was a PS4 in like 2017. So I didn't even own one, and I didn't have the excuse that I didn't have it to not play it. So
Yeah, this
Come on,
one is
24%
widely
on everything.
popular. Yeah, people know
Many
about
from our community played along with us and wrote in their thoughts on the Retro Game of the Week. Grammy C said, survival horror isn't really my genre. And the only other Resident Evil game I played was the VR port of 4. I want to see Kenny play that. I wasn't expecting to love it, and it took a few tries just to get to the police station. But once I did, I loved it. It had similar puzzles to point and click games I love, interesting environments, and a good story. I played Claire A, which I enjoyed, but looking it up, Leon gets more ammo and a shotgun, which might have made it a bit easier. My only complaints were the ammo being a bit sparse and the camera angles being a bit annoying at times. The positives do definitely, though, outweigh the negatives. I definitely recommend it.
I kind of think Claire's the easier one. Claire A.
I don't know if any. I think your second one is easier because
Sure.
for me it was. I mean, dude, my second character I was going because I know the areas. I
Yeah.
know even though the puzzling's a little bit different. Like I'm so familiar with the systems by that part.
Yeah, but at the same time, some of the stuff you saw, and we didn't get into it earlier, so I'll just touch on it briefly. And they did this better in the remake, is that in scenario B, X was like the pursuer character, except in the original version, all the times he showed up were scripted, whereas in the remake, he was on a constant patrol, so the AI was trying to find you. So that was one of the other things I really appreciated about the remake. But I would probably argue that the A scenarios for both are probably easier than the Bs.
Yeah, it's fair.
Keeks said, this week I played the Nintendo 64 version of Resident Evil 2, and
W.
honestly, I'm impressed. This game's age is obvious in its graphics. The tank controls and the camera are a hindrance, but it adds to the survival element of this game. Just play this. First time playing this one in GP.
I want to say I'll go back and play the N64 one next time I get an itch. I won't. I'll play Remake. But I like that you played the N64 one.
Clint said, I appreciate the simplicity and the love shown to the environments in these earlier games comparatively. The police station, compared to 4, because Clint's playing 4 right
Nice.
now. 4 remake, I
Nice.
think. The police station feels so much more lovingly crafted and full of life and undead than the many hallways and corridors in 4, and that's always kept you moving through the areas. Fun and interesting puzzles, solid jumps and spooks, the gameplay that's just barely functional enough that I don't want to break a controller. This one won't be making any favorites list for me, but it's certainly worth a playthrough for that wonderful, silly RE lore dump.
Very different games, by the way.
I think I've mentioned it before, but it's always good to. One of my early reads in the fantasy genre was the Resident Evil book, Code Nemesis or something. I know it was the very first. It was for the first story.
I remember you
of
telling
the
me that. I
first
thought that was
game.
so funny.
Such a strange choice.
There's no way it was good.
It was also terrifying. No, I think I remember it being
Oh,
good.
okay.
Finally, Garlisle said, the next time some Steam game wants me to install 120 gigs for their game, I'm going to slap it in the face with the 64 megabyte N64 cartridge of Resident Evil 2 and go try harder. No,
Yo.
but really, of almost all games we've done on the podcast, this has to be in top 10 games for technical achievement.
Yeah. Hard to argue with.
On the
And
64.
again, yeah, that N64 card's got me tripping. I can't believe that.
The pre-rendered backgrounds helps a lot there,
Sure.
but that's still an amazing feat. That's not to take away from. That's huge. Or it's
And all the
not.
faces combined probably only took 1 megabyte. So
Yeah, the
we-
pre-rendered backgrounds really are what made like the Resident Evil 1 remake on GameCube. Those backgrounds still hold up amazing on even if you're playing it on GameCube. There's HD versions now, but if you load it up on the GameCube, you'll look at it and be like, "Oh my gosh, this was 2001 this came out." Like, and they can do that because it doesn't take as much graphical power to just put the background there with a couple of maybe a chandelier swinging or something.
We are going to set aside Resident Evil 2 for now, and we are going to randomly select the game that we're going to be playing for the next 7 days. Any genre, any console, 15 years old or older. Randomizing now. I don't even know how to explain this. We're going to be playing a game for the Nintendo DS, which is a quick
Okay.
revisit.
Yeah.
But not for the DS and for the Game Boy Advance.
What are you talking
What
about?
does that mean?
The DS had a
you tell
GBA
me.
slot.
No, so this is a matched pair of games.
Okay. It
Okay.
came out like on both.
It's two different
Two-
entries
Okay,
But
so
with the
for
same
the
think
two
of,
title?
different consoles that
Pokemon?
are the same title-ish.
okay.
Okay, but we're playing the GBA game or we're playing the DS game?
That's the
DS game.
problem. No,
Okay,
no,
wait,
no,
we have
that's
to
the
decide?
problem. Yeah,
Okay,
they're
hit me.
different.
I'll tell you which
Like,
one.
do we split it up? I play one, Nolan, you play the other, and Kenny does his thing.
Yeah,
I flip a coin. I mean,
Kenny plays a third game.
sure.
We're gonna have to figure it out. We'll talk about it after I reveal that it was developed by Chunsoft,
Okay.
We've actually played stuff by them, I think.
published in Japan, not published worldwide by Nintendo, published in Japan by, yes, the Pokemon Company. We are going back to the Pokemon world with a matched pair of Pokemon video games. The games, I guess, that we're going to be playing for the next 7 days is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue Rescue Team and Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team.
So there's got to be an answer to that. Like was it submitted as a Nintendo DS game?
It was submitted. Oh, good question.
That will
it was
be our answer.
submitted as a Nintendo DS game.
Okay.
Well, at least that's in the list as a Nintendo DS game,
So
which would be the Blue Rescue Team. The
So you're
Red
telling-
Rescue Team is for the GBA.
why would they do that?
Nolan, you're the Pokemon guy.
Nintendo
Don't
does
yourself.
whatever
I
they
care
want.
about Pokemon.
Did they
The
come
two
out at the
versions
same
are
time?
mostly identical, with Blue Rescue Team taking advantage of the dual screen features and increased graphical and sound capabilities from the Nintendo DS. So, I think it's basically whichever one you want to play of the two this week. That's fine.
Okay. Sure.
Perfect.
I'll play the DS one.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Find a copy of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue Rescue Team or Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team. Played along with us for the next 7 days.
This is a message for Ada Wong. If you want to be a part of our community, go to discord.gg/NGP podcast. And I guess everybody else listening, you can do that if you want to, but it's really not meant for you.
This is a message for any of you currently stuck in a survival horror situation. Quit listening to podcasts, save your ammunition, hoard all your money. If you're not, you may have some money to spare to support your favorite retro gaming podcast, and you'll be joining people like our wonderful community members, including the following producers: Alex and Marlene, Antonin, Artemis, Chuck, Ben, Nerd, Ben, Champagne, Vinaigrette, Craig, Dagany, Flumbus, Garlisle, Alex, Harold, Hey Brother, J. Robert, Jake, Justin, Cal, Daka, Clint, Lapidus, Landers, Levi, Maximum, Megatroid, Miss Muso, Mystic, Not Enough, Dog, Radmax, Sajin, Scotty Shane, Shauna, Snake Matic, Spinny the Jet, Super Hyper, Swaggy Togglefish, Psycho Mantis, Thomas Tibbs, Tim of the T, Tins, Unbedavable, Zachary, and Zion. Thank you all for your wonderful support. Thank you, of course, to our director level supporters as well. Brojim, Sasser, Siegfried, Carson, and Jesse. And of course, more than anybody else today, to Jared, the one and only Infinite Knife. Thank you for listening, for making us part of your Monday routine, for supporting the podcast, and for giving up some of your time and bringing this fun game to us. We're so appreciative. It's been an absolute blast. So thank you so much.
Total blast
Thank
for
you.
me too. Thanks so much for having me, you guys.
Absolutely. Would you like people to be able to find you online? And if so, where could they find you?
You guys can find me in the Discord. You can look Infinite Knife. I think it's Jared Brackett Infinite Knife, but you can find me in the Discord. I was in the Game of the Week chat a little bit this week, but like I said, I normally just do a lot of lurking. But when there's games up I've played before that I want to chime in on, you'll see me in there. Yeah, if you want to talk Resident Evil, hit me up anytime. Send me a DM.
You can find us on our social media, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Links are in the show notes, listed directly on any podcast provider of your choice. Make sure you subscribe so that you are the first to get new NGP episodes. And while you're at it, please leave a kind rating and review. Our episode artwork was created by our friend Dave. Our video episode edited by our friend Dylan. Our audio episode was edited and produced by our friend Dan Willett. Join us next week as we play Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue or Red Rescue Team. Until then, I'm still Sherry.
I'm still terrified and bad at video games both.
Nolan, I got nothing.
Boring.
I'm still the fourth survivor.
The fourth survivor. That should be your new Discord.
No, don't change it. Don't change it.
And this has been New Ghoul Plus.